The gate sensors clicked to life at exactly 6:45 a.m. just as I set down my empty coffee cup. From my kitchen window, I watched Sandra Holloway's gleaming white Range Rover pull up to the shiny new toll booth I'd installed. With a dramatic sigh, her perfectly polished hand stretched from the driver's side window and dropped a crisp $5 bill into the payment slot. My phone buzzed again with a fresh notification: 135 collected before 7 o'clock. Not a bad way to start a Tuesday. I leaned back, smiled, and thought about how the HOA president who tried to block my ranch was about to get a very expensive education in property law. My name's Daniel Morrison, and I've owned the Sunset Ridge Ranch for 12 years. It's a 40-acre spread just outside Pine Valley where I run an equine therapy program for disabled kids. My land sits between the highway and a newer neighborhood called Meadowbrook Estates, a bland subdivision of 92 houses run by one of the most heavy-handed HOAs I've ever seen. The mess all began 3 months back, right after Sandra took over. As president, she marched up to my fence line with a clipboard and a tape measure, telling me my driveway entrance was, quote, an eyesore that violated their standards. I calmly explained my ranch existed decades before their neighborhood and wasn't subject to HOA rules. She replied that anything in view of their homes was automatically under her jurisdiction. That should have been my first red flag. 2 weeks later, the roar of machinery woke me. A construction crew was planting enormous wrought iron gates directly across my driveway, not near it, not beside it, but blocking my only way to the road. Sandra stood there like a commander in a business suit ordering workers around. When I confronted her, she smugly said the HOA had voted to secure all entry points for safety and handed me a laminated card with limited hours of use. Outside M to PM, I'd need special permission. I immediately called the sheriff. Deputy Jackson showed up, looked at the gates, and told Sandra it was illegal to block a private easement. She waved a stack of official-looking papers claiming the HOA controlled all connecting roads. The deputy shook his head and said it was a civil dispute. Sandra smirked as he left, convinced she'd won. That night, I dug through my old files, the original deed from 1958, survey maps, and easement agreements. That's when I found it, the ace in the hole. My driveway wasn't just private. It was the legal public easement that gave the entire subdivision their only access to the county road. The developers had never built a separate entrance. They just assumed mine would always remain open. I called my lawyer, Tom Garrett, who nearly choked laughing after reviewing the papers. He said it was the clearest obstruction case he'd seen in 30 years. But instead of racing to court, Tom suggested something more educational. Within days, I had county approval to convert my entrance into a private toll road. Since Sandra's gates had trapped the HOA behind my land, the only way in or out of Meadowbrook Estates was through my toll booth. I hired a crew to carve out a new entrance 50 feet away from her fancy gates and installed an automated payment system, fully legal and state certified. Rates were simple: $5 per car, $10 per SUV or truck, $20 if you sported an HOA board member. Decal deliveries and service vans were $15. Monthly passes ran $200. Annual, $2,000. The booth photographed every license plate, sending $50 fines to anyone trying to sneak through. The next morning was chaos. Cars lined up, horns blared, residents shouted. Police were called, but Deputy Jackson returned, checked my paperwork, and declared it all legal. He even paid his $5 with a grin. Sandra herself tried to avoid paying, attempting to use her own gates, until she realized she was missing an important showing. She hurled a $20 bill at the machine in fury. Within a week, homeowners were furious at the hundreds they were shelling out just to leave their own neighborhood. The HOA turned against her, petitions circulated, and the news ran a viral story titled David vs. Goliath HOA. My cowboy hat-decorated toll booth became a roadside attraction. I even sold merch that funded my therapy program. Sandra grew desperate. She ordered crews to build a dirt bypass, but the land belonged to the State Forestry Service. She was hit with a $15,000 fine. Outrage exploded when she proposed a $1,000 assessment per household for legal fees. A retired judge in the subdivision dismantled her arguments and called for a no-confidence vote. The tally? 78-3 against her. Then recordings surfaced proving She deliberately blocked notices of meetings, violating bylaws and possibly breaking the law. Lawsuits rained down, homeowners sued her personally, the HOA sued for breach of duty, and I filed my own claims. Her insurance refused coverage. Investigators uncovered $30,000 in fake expenses, including a bogus Hawaii trip. She was arrested, charged with embezzlement and fraud, and forced to stand in court in handcuffs. Facing ruin, Sandra struck a plea deal, probation, restitution, community service, and a lifetime ban from HOA boards. By the time sentencing ended, her career and reputation were in ashes, her empire of control reduced to nothing but a cautionary tale.